Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my review for the second to last episode of this season, at least, of Helluva Boss. Um, and this is the first of a two-part finale, and it released on Halloween while I was at Youmacon. So I didn't get to see it until today, but I heard people talking about it, and there seemed to be some mixed thoughts. There were a lot of people who really liked it, and a lot of people who seemed to have issue with it. I didn't see any spoilers, um, but it was more along the lines of a lot of people just seemed to be conflicted on what happened. Again, without going into detail about what they were talking about, they were just like not really pleased with the direction it took, I guess. And even my father told me that he didn't really like how it went, and then I watched it, and I am in the former camp. I think that this was one of the best episodes of the season by far, because it felt like this is exactly where everything this season had built up was headed. It was a true culmination of the character development of Blitz. Um, Everything they've been working for with Stolas, and just a continued display of the fantastic, just visual storytelling that this series has really handled extremely well. It has some amazing music in it. It has some great, just beautiful visuals, and it's fitting to this series. It continues the just debaucherous ideas of, the fact that they're demons in hell, and continues to push that idea, but in a different way. So I really liked it. I really like what they did, and I like how it ended, especially. But we are now going to go into the specifics. We are going to go into spoilers. So if you have not yet seen episode 7 of Hell of a Boss, I would definitely suggest doing so, unless you just don't mind spoilers. Because we're going to begin with spoiler talk in 3, 2, 1, now. So this episode is about two basic things: Blitz and Stolas' relationship, and Millie and Moxie's relationship. See, after another successful job, which we only see the very end of, Moxie reveals that he has made reservations at this couples club in the Lust Ring called Ozzy's. He's made reservations for he and Millie because it's the 1 year anniversary of their marriage, and he wanted to surprise her with something big and special. Blitz, as he does, tries to force his way into joining them, but ends up getting denied by the bouncer. Because, like, Blitz can't just flirt with everyone to get his way. Like, this sexy bouncer, it's like he don't give a shit. So Blitz ends up having to call Stolas literally to use him just to get in there and watch Millie and Moxie. Stolas, who seemed very depressed at the time, is ecstatic and just extremely just losing his mind over the invitation. So he shows up in his best, and he's trying his damnedest. And it's really fucking cute, actually. Like, Stolas in this episode is just genuinely cute. And it's the weirdest thing, because it's like that's not the word you think of when you think of his character. you think of like funny or likable, or even some people would say sexy, but not cute. But he was adorable in this episode, just trying to do his best to make a good impression on Blitz, who he very clearly, genuinely loves. Like, it's not fitting for the episode. It's not a lust thing. He loves Blitz, and it's been made very clear. Like, yes, there is a lust factor there. He very much likes to have sex with him, of course, but that's not what Stolas actually wants from this. And we see that very much on display in this episode. So Moxie is called up on stage, starts to sing a song to Millie, but because it's all just love based rather than lust, he starts getting berated and just completely having the song be taken over by the heads of the establishment. First is the real Fizzarali, not the robot we had seen at Lululand. This is the real Fizzarali that the robot was named after and just based upon and whatnot. And the personality seems to mostly be the same, except that this one, again, being in the lust ring of hell, is very, very sexually focused. Obviously, robotic Fizzarali really didn't go into anything like that. It never really got to that at all with the Robo Fizz, but with our real Fizz, he is very horny, to put it that way. And then there is the owner of the establishment, Asmodeus, or I guess Ozzy for short. Asmodeus is seemingly another Lord of Hell like Stolas, and is the embodiment of lust. And you would not be able to tell by looking at him. He looks like some kind of like specter, a fancy specter. He has like this fancy outfit, but he's very ghost-like and very creepy. He doesn't read as lustful at all. There have been characters like we've seen in like the Has Been Hotel pilot and throughout the series that definitely read more as lustful than he does. But then he speaks and sings, and it's like, okay, we get it. Because the voice actor, who's the same voice actor who did Vortex, he can really sell it. Like, in both regular speaking and singing, he sells the lustful idea. And it's like, you just hear those voices that it's like just those really just genuinely sexy voices. You don't even need to see the person, and just them talking is enough to get you hot. It's like, it's very much that kind of shit. He has that kind of voice, and obviously that's very much the point. He's the embodiment of lust, so yeah, he's gonna have a very sexy voice. And so they're just singing, kind of mocking Moxie, but he sticks to his guns. Moxie just continues to stick to love rather than lust. And then VEROSIK joins in, because she's there. And it's like, when I first saw her, I kind of almost had to, actually I very much did have to, hold in like an audible gasp and squee. Because, as I made clear in the past, I really like VEROSIK. Both in terms of just general enjoyment viewing as a character, and just because of like, she really sells what she represents. Being a succubus and everything, it's like, she's very sexy. Also, Cristina Valenzuela does a phenomenal job, once again, both speaking and singing for her, even if she has a very small role in this episode comparatively. But she comes in, she sings a verse to Blitz, who has given himself away. Asmodeus confronts Stolas, and basically shit just goes down. Um, Blitz and Stolas are basically run out of the club by embarrassment. And Millie almost knocks out Fizzarali and seems to just be completely good with Moxie still, though they're also kicked out of the club. This time, like, literally kicked out by Asmodeus. And while we don't see where their little part goes to yet, we see Blitz take Stolas back to his mansion, and things get very real. Throughout this episode, we've seen Blitz recognize that he's never actually been on a date with Stolas before, that it's entirely been lust rather than the love that he sees and is very obviously jealous of with Millie and Moxie. And it's made very clear that this is the reason why he's not only following them to Ozzy's, but the reason why he's forced himself into their relationship in so many other instances throughout the series. Blitz is just straight up jealous. We've seen now in last episode that he has intimacy issues, that he craves affection, but he's not, he doesn't believe he deserves it, and he doesn't know how to give it. He wants the affection, he wants love, but he's afraid of it. This was set up, and we see the culmination of that in this episode. We see when he drops Stolas off, Stolas invites him in, and Blitz is like, no, you only want me for sex. You don't want anything more. Don't pretend otherwise. I can't do this right now. And you see him breaking down. It gets legitimately really emotional there. And you see Blitz leave, leaving both him and Stolas depressed and heartbroken, and leaving us as viewers depressed and heartbroken, because we've grown to care about these characters, even through their ridiculous shenanigans and stupid bullshit. This show has made us like them and enjoy their relationship. Like, you remember when last episode came out, people all over the internet cheered when Blitz and Stolas shared that kiss. That was a huge deal. So it's like, yeah, when we see the very next episode, they have this really depressing, sad moment that is a culmination of all of this great character development, but at the same time is really heartbreaking. It's like, yeah, that's a thing. And then at the end, we see Blitz laying on the couch. Luna has gone to hang out with Vortex. Millie and Moxie are still out. He's alone, in the dark, looking at pictures of all these people he's had relationships with. Not necessarily romantic, some romantic though, some sexual, some just his employees and old friends. We even see Fizzarali in there. We see Verosika shown. And the very last shot that the very last picture he sees on his phone before completely breaking down as the credits roll is probably, for me, the two characters I have been most interested to know about. Blitz's sisters. And while there's apparently been some confusion about the exact relationship regarding one of them, I guess Barbie Wire, I think, is his twin, and the other one, I guess, was originally his older sister, but might not be sister anymore, might be mother. And it's like, what is the deal here? Some things might have been changed around since initial inception of the idea and everything. I guess maybe we'll find out next episode, because they're not going to leave that off for another season. Because who knows when we're going to actually get season 2? It might not be right away. It probably won't be. I think we're going to find out about that next episode. We're finally going to find out about it. And the implication here, Blitz breaking down upon seeing that picture of him with them, that implies to me that there is something traumatic there. Something bad happened. And it could be a lot of things. I have no clue what that something could be. But again, we're most likely going to find out this final episode of season 1, and it's going to be big. And I think the reason why some people didn't like this episode is because it was so serious. It was so emotional, and, well, as the episode made clear, was all about love and relationships. It wasn't about the debauchery. It wasn't about the graphic nature that this series can often have. It wasn't about the horniness, even though that was in here. It wasn't about the graphic violence or blood or any of that. It was about the relationships and the characters and everything that had been built up. It wasn't as graphic as other episodes, especially last episode. It wasn't as horny. It wasn't as intense. There wasn't as much death. But again, it wasn't about that. That was just... This series was never about that. It was a tool used to display, one, the fact that they are demons in hell, and to work the actual focus, which is the relationships of these characters, in a more entertaining, fun way that gets people interested. If this series didn't have all of this excessive, intense shit in it and was just the relationship stuff, it would never work. Because it wouldn't gain enough viewers. It would not be as huge as it is. People are drawn to the exciting shit. All of the violence, the blood, the gore, the horrible atrocities, and just them being demons, basically, is what draws people, myself included, into this. But the relationships that we learn to love is what keeps us there. Again, at least for me. It's going to be a different experience for each person, but this is what I want from this series. This is the kind of shit that turned me around on Helluva Boss. Because if you remember, I didn't like this when the pilot came out. I didn't like the pilot. I thought it was... I thought it felt like a weak, pale imitation of Has Been Hotel. And obviously they're the same creator, so I'm not saying it was, but it felt like that to me. And so seeing it come so far, honestly, just being completely fair, and it's probably because there's only the pilot for Has Been Hotel, I like this better now. Now, could Has Been Hotel, when that series finally starts, whenever A24 finally gets to it, could that end up becoming better again? Yeah, of course. And I'm still excessively excited for that. But, as of now, I will say I like Helluva Boss better. Because because there's more to work with, but also I love so much what they've done with it. It's turned me around completely. A total 180. And I couldn't be happier about that. I'm excited every time I'm proven wrong about a series. I want shows to prove me wrong when I don't like them. Obviously, when I don't like them. I don't want them to prove me wrong if I do like them. Owl House did this. I wrote a lot of it off because of a couple small issues. And then it proved me wrong and has become one of my favorite shows. MLP did this. And so many other things. Shows, games, all this kind of stuff. Things I never thought I would like, but ended up loving. Because it proved me wrong. It proved my initial impressions wrong. The fact that I'm this into it now, the fact that I'm this excited is in itself exciting. I can't wait for the finale. It's gonna be amazing. And honestly, I would put this up there as one of my favorite shows. I don't know where I'm going to put it now, but I think this has earned a spot amongst my favorite shows. I'm going to have to think about it a lot more, obviously, and maybe see how the finale goes. But I think it's earned its spot. It's that good for me. And the funniest part about it is, like, I would have thought back when the Spring Breakers or whatever it was called episode happened, I would have thought that, oh, bring VEROSIK back, I'm going to just be excited about that. It's like, no, that's actually, funny enough, one of the least exciting parts of this episode. I mean, I loved it. I loved VEROSIK in this, and I thought she was fantastic once again. And I love her new outfit, for obvious reasons. But she is not by any means, not even close, to the best part of this episode. She is overshadowed by so much and just comes across as almost a little random because of it. And she's not. It's like, I get why she's there. It makes sense she is there. She's a succubus. Of course she's going to be in the fucking lust ring. But it's like, just, I feel like almost she was added in just because of that. And I welcome it. I welcome her in this, of course. But, again, I'm not saying that she was bad in this. I'm not saying she wasn't, like her. I'm not even saying she didn't entirely serve a purpose. She actually very much served a purpose in terms of Blitz's development. But everything else just overshadowed her. Everything else was just better. So that surprised me. That my favorite part of this wasn't her. That my favorite part of this, hell, it wasn't even Millie and Moxie. Although that would probably be number 2. My favorite part of this was Blitz breaking down at the end. And while it cut away from the visual, the audio still played as the credits started to roll. Blitz finally broke. Everything that had been built up, everything that had been held in, finally just was let out. And I'm excited to see what this brings out next episode. So tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this penultimate episode of Helluva Boss Season 1? And if you know anything about, like, where this is going to go in the finale, like if you've heard anything that was, like, talked about with the production or whatnot, don't tell me. I'm trying to avoid anything that might have been talked about by Vivzy or anyone else ahead of time. I want, again, I never even saw the trailer for these episodes and all. I actively avoided the trailer and everything. So I'm just really excited to see where it goes. So if you do know anything, like if there's any footage from the trailer, for example, that we've still not seen yet, don't say anything, please. Don't say a fucking thing, because I really don't want to be spoiled on where this ends. But tell me your thoughts otherwise in the comments below, please. I would love to hear what you thought of this episode, of Fizarali, of Asmodeus, of Verosika even, but especially of Millie and Moxie's love and the fear of love shown by Blitz in his relationship with Stolas. Let me know down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.